Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films, back again with My Hero Academia. Last time on My Hero Academia, we had the boy born with everything. Hoo boy. So we got a bit of backstory on Shoto Todoroki, how he was the product of a quirk marriage between his mother and the hero Endeavor, because Endeavor wanted to make a powerful child to defeat All Might, like the superhero that he is. And yeah, we also learned that, most of the time, Todoroki's mother was incredibly, sad and crying all the time. And, one day, she just decided to pour some boiling water onto Todoroki's face, giving him the scar. Normal stuff that comes with being a hero like Endeavor is. But Todoroki has decided, fuck his father. He's going to... Fuck your father. He's going to win the tournament, the sports festival, without using his damn fire quirk. So, yeah. So we got some of that. We got the recreation games before the beginning of the finals. And what else did we get? We got the first part of the first match of the final round. That's how you say things. We got Shinso versus Midoriya after 2 withdrawals, actually, from the tournament, from Team Shinso. And, apparently Shinso has some sort of mind control powers. He has a mind control quirk, but only if you speak to him, which Midoriya does. So we're going to have to figure out how that works out. I mean, he can't lose in the first round. So, yeah. This is where I say no spoilers in the comments whatsoever. This is also where I say that if you want to watch my reaction to this episode of My Hero Academia, it is not in this video due to copyright issues that I've had. So, what you can do is you can go down in the description or to the pinned comment on this video. There'll be a little link there. It should say MHA2X7 reaction highlight, and then have a link. You click on that link, you watch my highlight reaction. It's a lot of good and fun. Once again, the highlight reaction, where it's all the footage is in the corner and it's all nice and edited and good. Alternatively, full-length patrons on my Patreon page can watch full-length. Which, if you want to be a part of my full-length patrons, it's only $5 a month on Patreon. You can head down. That's also in the description where you can go to my Patreon. But if you don't want to do that or you can't afford to do that, there is always the reaction highlight, which I would highly recommend you do. And then, once you're done with that, whether you're on the reaction or on full length, you can pop back over here for the discussion on this YouTube video. Which is always important. Always be sure you watch the discussion. It helps me out. It would do me a great favor. Anyway, with that being said, we might as well get right into this episode of My Hero Academia. Here we go. Okay, damn. I feel bad for Sero. I definitely feel bad for Sero. And Todoroki does too, because he did not need to go overboard like that. He hates that he had to do that. I like that, though. I like that he is remorseful about doing that. Which, now, Midoriya has to face that. Even if Todoroki doesn't use his fire, that ice is incredibly powerful. Oh, God. Oh, boy. Another great episode. So, what's the next round? I don't know. Oh, it might be, Yaoyorozu versus Tokoyami? That might be next. I remember them somewhere earlier in the line. We'll have to see. Although, I think... Well, that was kind of out of... It was out of order, because the first matchup they showed was Kirishima versus Tetsu. But the first round we had was Midoriya versus Shinso. Alright. Man, what a great episode. Don't I always say that, though? Don't I always say, man, these are great episodes? They are great episodes. You know, I fucking love this show. So, we continued on in our first round of the tournament. The first thing I wrote down was brainwashing, and this actually goes ahead and ties into my next note, answer question. So, I like that it's... They make sure they specify that it is brainwashing instead of mind control. I actually like the distinction there, because with mind control, you would think that, you know, as soon as you take control of someone, they just do anything that you want, you know? They just go and do what you want. You just think it and they do it. I like the distinction of brainwashing because, and again, that ties into my second note of answering a question. This is all, his quirk is all dependent on verbal communication, basically. Which is interesting. That's one of the things I like about this show is when it deals with these powers, every quirk, well, this is kind of a weird way of putting it, but every quirk basically has something quirky about it, if that makes any sense. Like there's always like a clause, there's always like maybe not a side effect, but there's always something about these powers to where they're not just standard powers. Like if you look at, like, okay, let's say like Ida. Ida, technically you could say his power is super speed. He does kind of have that. However, he's not the Flash. He's not the Flash, you know, he's not running around with, you know, the lightning all the goddamn time. He can't slow down, you know, everything, or, you know, he's going so fast, you know, he can talk, you know, he can just talk like in flash time or something. Or maybe for some of you that don't know, haven't seen The Flash, like Quicksilver in the X-Men movies. You know, like in Days of Future Past, or I guess even in Apocalypse, and I don't even remember if he was in Dark Phoenix. I don't remember Dark Phoenix that much. Maybe that's for the best, though. But yeah, like Quicksilver, you know, when he's running around that kitchen in Days of Future Past, or when he's getting everyone out of the exploding mansion in Apocalypse, you know, all that, to where he can just kind of run around normally to him, but like everything is super slow. Ida doesn't have that. He's just fast, you know? That's the thing. That's the interesting thing, too. Or you could even say Bakugo. Bakugo technically has a fire quirk, but at the same time, it's the fact that his hands sweat nitroglycerin, and he ignites the nitroglycerin, basically. You know, he doesn't have... Actually, maybe one of the most standard quirks is Todoroki's, actually. He has ice and fire, and that's it. You know, he can lob fireballs like he's fucking Zuko or something. And I know, this Scar, I'm just saying, I'm trying to bring up an example of a firebender. Or he can lob fucking icicles like he's fucking Killer Frost. There's another Flash reference for you. So, it's like, he is like if Zuko and Killer Frost fucked and made a child. Except Endeavor is not fucking Zuko. And if Endeavor did marry Killer Frost would kick his ass. Well, she would try. I guess that brings up the question. That could bring up the question: how powerful is Endeavor? I'm assuming pretty fucking powerful. He's the number 2 hero after All Might, so maybe. But I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'm just holding Killer Frost up to a higher pedestal. I don't know. But you know, but it's basically that. I mean, technically, that is actually his origin. I guess I shouldn't. I guess my analogy is a little too literal. But you understand what I mean. You know, even Midoriya's quirk, you know, he can only access it at certain points. He's not super strong all the fucking time. Now, he is strong. He is definitely strong because he trained. He trained his body to be incredibly strong, you know? That's why it's like, you know, even though like Shinso, he was kind of a bigger guy. He was taller, but despite the fact that he was kind of bigger than Midoriya, it's like... It's like Aizawa said, if they didn't have their quirks, there would be no contest. Midoriya would win because he's just that strong, which we had there at the end. So Okay, I think I just went on a tangent. I just realized I went on a tangent. Back to what I was saying. Brainwashing. I like the quirkiness of these quirks, which is why, honestly, calling them quirks is amazing. You know? It's not just that they have superpowers of flight and super strength and stuff like that, even though some kind of do, is that everyone, there's something to make every quirk unique, even from superpowers that we have seen in comics, you know? I like that. Just the wide degree of all this, of all these powers, is also amazing. But yeah, so the fact that Shinso's power all comes through verbal communication, I really enjoy that. You know, it makes it possible to win, basically. You know? It makes it all possible to win, which is interesting. So yeah, it's all about answering a question too. So it's not just that you know, all you have to do is talk to him, but you have to specifically answer a question, and then he can brain control you. That is an interesting way of doing that too, because you can't just, you know, because you can go up and, you know, shoot the shit for a while with him. You know, you can have some small chat or something. You can talk to him, but if you actually answer one of his questions, then you get hit in the trance, basically. So, you know, that's interesting. That's interesting with, like, you know, him. I don't like when they showed like his classmates, and they're like, oh, well, you know, just don't turn us into your slaves, and you know, he starts thinking to himself, like, everyone fucking says that to me, you know, which was another interesting thing. Now, before we get to that, so I like, and again, you know, the fact that he has to specifically command Midoriya to do something, I also like too, you know, that is good. So honestly, you could almost view that like, you know, if you take out his ability to speak, you know, you duct tape his fucking mouth shut or something. If you take away his ability to speak, then he can't do anything to you. It's there. It's over because it's basically two forms of communication need to happen in order for his quirk to actually work, basically. He needs you to answer a question so that you're under his control, and then he needs to say something. You know, he needs to give you a command. I actually really like that. And, you know, it makes it possible to overcome his quirk. You know, so, and like they were saying, like, they were looking at it, it's like, you know, this guy has such a powerful quirk. And I like, too, you know, they recognized that he wasn't put in the hero course because, they pretty much said, like, you know, the entrance exam is rigged, basically. Which is kind of true, you know, it's all based on physical attacks, you know? It's all based on physical quirks. You can apply to be in, like, general studies and stuff, and you could get in based on what your quirk is, but to get in the hero course, you do need to be in combat, basically. Which is why, you know, everyone in Class 1A, basically, or even Class 1B, you know, both of those classes, they are able to get into those courses because they could all do that. Although then you kind of think like, well, what about Invisible Girl? How did she beat robots? Or Mineta, how did he beat the robots? You know, there is something like that where, you know, we did see, the only people we really saw, you know, Ito was doing these flying drop kicks on robots. Uraraka was lifting them up and just sending them down. Bakugo was blowing shit up. No, we didn't see that. He was in a different city. But it's most likely what it did. And then Midoriya, you know, he went for the 0-pointer, but then he got the rescue points and all that shebang. So like I said, I like the sort of, I guess, a catch. Like, every quirk has a catch. That's the kind of the word I've been looking for. Every quirk has a catch, and I like that. So, oh, all right. What else do we got? One for All. Holy shit. So One for All kind of... It didn't save Midoriya, but technically he saved himself. You know, he was able to break through just enough to use his fingers. So that was good. I like that. But just the fact that, yeah, he did see, which at first I thought it was all of his classmates. But then, you know, I thought I saw their outlines. But then when all, you know, the colors were starting to, you know, go crazy and, you know, go all over him and stuff, I was like, this is One for All. So I do like that. I like that One for All, you know, he can see the others, which is a step towards making the quirk his own, basically, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, he basically saw everyone who has ever held the power of One for All. I like that. That's really cool. And I like when All Might was talking about, it's like, you know, he was basically saying, like, oh, yeah, I had that, too. I like, too. And he was like, what? I'm a ghost? Like, what the hell? Like, all right, man, chill out. But he did say, it's like, oh, well, yeah, when I was in my younger days, I saw something like that, too. So that was pretty cool. So, yeah, and then, you know, when Midoriya left and Recovery Girl was basically like, so he saw you too, huh? And All Might was like, yep. And so that's an interesting thing to put in there, that maybe that, you know, how much of that, like, what does that imply? Does that mean, you know, like, this is almost up, All Might, you're almost out of One for All. It's about to, I guess, fully transfer into Midoriya. I don't know, maybe. So yeah, so that was all interesting. I also wrote down okay, so the One for All, that was cool, and, you know, he was just able to do it enough to basically cause that shockwave in order to bump him out. Again, I like that there's another catch, basically, to Shinso's quirk, is that if you get hit, if you receive enough of a shock, you will be freed from his quirk. Oh, excuse me. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. It's fucking early, man. It's not even 10 o'clock in the morning and I'm recording, so my voice is not quite where it should be, but that's all right. All right. I wrote down the recognition. That was interesting, you know, when because he was all, you know, he was mad about losing to Midoriya, you know, and, because that's the thing, is that, you know, it is, you know, this would have happened with anyone, pretty much, you know, like, this would have happened with anyone, whoever lost the first match. You know, it does suck to lose, and a lot is riding on the fact that these kids need to win, you know? So that was interesting, and then, you know, I like that he does have, you know, his friends in general studies. They're like, oh my god, we didn't know you were that powerful, and they were like, oh, check out what they're saying, and, you know, it cuts to all these heroes being like, damn, that's a pretty fucking good quirk. I mean, we might need that in our fucking agency. You know, how easy would it be to take down villains like that, you know, if we had a guy with that quirk? So he is starting to get recognition, which is good. Which is the thing, is that he, you know, this whole sports festival honestly is about getting recognition by the agencies. Technically, he did. He got his recognition, even though he lost in the first match. You know, he lost in the first round. He's still getting recognition. I imagine Sero will get some recognition too. Maybe not as much because his quirk is not as powerful and he lost so easily, but yeah, pretty much everyone that's in the finals, I feel like, will get recognition of some degree, basically. So that was interesting. And, you know, him saying, you know, they can still transfer any student to the hero course if they do well enough. And, you know, with how much with how much Aizawa was, talking about how powerful Shinso's quirk is, he might actually do that. He might be like, you know what, I need to get this guy. He didn't do well in the entrance exam, but his quirk doesn't allow for that, He's like, all right, maybe I need to get this guy. Well, the only unfortunate thing about that is, like, on the one hand, I would love if we got, like, Shinso or Hatsume into the hero course. The only issue is that means we'd have to knock people out of the hero course. That would be unfortunate. That would be really sad. But yeah, everyone's striving for the top in this fucking tournament. So yeah, that was another thing I wrote down. Everyone's striving for the top, and I do like that. Midoriya does actually see a lot of himself in Shinso, which is really interesting. Just the fact that, what's his motivation? Why does he want to be a hero? Because he wants to be a hero, He wants to help people. And, it is sort of like, well, because, he's always had it in his mind. It's like, well, this quirk is most likely, used as villains. Villains mainly would use a quirk like this. You don't really have heroes that have brainwashing powers, but he wants to still be a hero, kind of in spite of that, which is pretty cool, actually. The next thing I wrote down was limits. So we had a bit of a talk between Endeavor and Todoroki, which I'm sure technically Endeavor's last name is Todoroki, but it's just easier to say Todor. Which is weird. Why is it easier for me to say Todoroki than Shoto? I don't know. Maybe because it's so similar to Shota Aizawa. And I just call him Aizawa. I call everyone pretty much by their last name on this show, because that's kind of what you do in anime. At the very least, that's what they do in this anime. So they always say, pretty much everyone calls each other by their last name. So I've just always said Todoroki. So, but yeah, it's like when you say, oh, there was a conversation between Endeavor and Todoroki, it's like, well, technically, shouldn't he be Todoroki too? But whatever. But we had a bit of a talk between the two of them. And, he's saying, like, you could easily dominate this entire fucking tournament if you just use your fire side. Stop this rebellious face, with his fucking deep-ass Jiren voice. I love his fucking voice. It's so fucking deep. And it's like, Todoroki's still sticking to his guns. Like, no, I'm going to win this only with my mother's quirk. And, there's just almost no reaction from Endeavor. It's like, all right, whatever. And I it's interesting him saying, it's like, maybe that'll work for this tournament, but eventually you're going to find the limits of that power, because fucking Endeavor's such a fucking tool that he's like, oh, well, no quirk is as good as my fire quirk. That ice quirk can't get you as far as my fire quirk does, Which, if that's the case, why did you fucking marry her? But I guess the point is, he married her so that he would produce a child with both. They also mentioned Todoroki has siblings. He does have siblings, I would assume younger siblings than. And I don't know, like, I kind of want to know a bit more about that too now. So it's like, man, there's still like more. There's still more backstory on Todoroki we don't have, and I thought we kind of got everything last episode, but there is still more. And I like that. There is still more that we need to learn about him. So yeah, I do like that, the mention of his siblings, and yeah, the thing with, you are going to find the limits of your mother's quirk, and you're going to lose at some point because of it, because you don't use my quirk. Which is why, in his first match against Sero, he did not need to do this. But and I think he even apologized before he did it. He was like, I'm sorry I have to do this. But he just created this gigantass glacier. He created a glacier that is so fucking huge, going all the way past the arena, and everyone just looking on in awe. Aizawa's just like, oh my god, fucking everyone, looking at this like, Jesus fucking Christ, that's how much he was able to do in just one attack, basically. And he did hate that he had to do that. But he did that to prove a point to Endeavor that his mother... Basically, he did that to prove the point that his mother's quirk has no limits. That he will be able to get by only on his mother's quirk. He will be the best even if he's only using ice and not his fire side. Which, again, still cuts off half of his body. Because this half of the body, his left side, can only use fire. So he has to just not use that. If someone takes out his right arm, he's fucked, you know? But that's just it. That's all he's going to do. You know, he's only going to use his mother's quirk, and he's going to prove that he only needs his mother's quirk. Even if that means trapping Sero in a glacier. And they were all like, you know, did you really need to do that? And he went up and he was like, I'm sorry I had to do that. You know, he did apologize. He's like, sorry. I know I went overboard. I had to. I'm sorry. And he did melt all the ice. You know, he got Sero out of there, which was good of him to do. So yeah, that's a fucking interesting moment. And so now that both he and Midoriya have won in the first round, they're going to fight in the second round. Oh crap. Oh, Midoriya, you've got your work cut out for you this time. But we'll see. We'll have to see how well Midoriya can really do against Todoroki. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Great episode once again, and this is only episode 7 of 25? Jesus Christ, this season's gonna go on forever. Does make me wonder though, because we're only on episode 7. I'm very curious if we're actually going to have the tournament throughout the whole season or not. I don't know. That's a lot of fucking episodes. That's almost 20 episodes right there. You know, and we're already through the first 2 matches. So I have no idea, but we'll have to find out. If we're not, then hey, I guess we get more shit before the end of the season. And then there's another season. And then there's another season that's currently airing, which probably everyone's watching right now, and you're all being like, oh, why can't this, fat fuck catch up already? Well, this fat fuck, he takes his time. Anyway, with all that being said, I have to sneeze. So I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. I haven't sneezed yet. If you want to watch more of my reactions on My Hero Academia, you can click on the playlist. You can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media. Links below in the description. See you guys later.